Well, thank you, Sharon, for joining us today and help the viewers to better understand your experience with the coronavirus energy vaccine. Let me start by just asking you, what was your experience? What did you notice when you were watching the videos and then in the weeks that followed you watching the videos?
For me, it's been about knowing no matter what's going on in my outer world, it's my personal responsibility to find that place of peace inside myself so that I don't become overwhelmed and feel as if I have no control whatsoever over my own personal situation. Because for me, there are different realities in a way. There's my personal reality, there's the social reality, and there's, whatever else. There's another one, I can't think of it right now. So I know that I can't control what the government's doing. Oh, well, I have power by voting. Well, you know what? I'm not a big believer in that. I mean, yeah, my vote might help, but I don't even go into politics, generally speaking. So I always have to bring everything back to myself. Why is this showing up in my life? How have I helped co-create the situation? And then I have to bring it back. Well, if I can't go out there and solve the problem for the world, or even my neighbors, or even my family directly, in a way, indirectly, I can by just taking care of me first so that, put the oxygen mask on and so that I can be at a good place so that when others come to me, just even to hold space or listen to them, I'm going to be a good energy. And for the longest time, I was so afraid of things that were anything that could contaminate me, like when the kids were in school, head lice, or, you get ants in the house in the springtime. And I just felt like such a victim, so overwhelmed, like, oh, stop this, what can I do about it? And it takes so much energy. So I've gotten away from that. So basically, to wrap this section of my divulging here is like, I just have to take charge of me, and that's all I can really be in charge of. That's not what I was going to say, but I forgot what it was I was going to say.
Well, really the purpose of the coronavirus energy vaccine is to recognize that when we go into fear, we weaken our immune system. So all we've been seeing since this virus arrived in the United States, or at least started getting press in the United States, is 100% news coverage on death and infection and the delegation of our control over this to a White House that doesn't really want to take responsibility. Okay, that's okay. Or to state governments, those who are outside of us. When our response to anything, things happen in our life, but our response to anything is under our control to the extent that our mind has governance, if you like, over our body and what happens within it. So this was about transforming the programming that we have inherited from our ancestors that gets triggered by all of this constant barrage of fear-based media that most of us consume on a daily basis. And so it's been, I think, for many people, and when people view the videos, they'll see some examples of this, where people have experienced the symptoms of coronavirus without actually having the virus in them. So there's a psychosomatic effect that the body responds to sometimes if we allow that fear to take deep root within us. You talked about that quite well in terms of how the importance of keeping oneself positive and in the love vibration as opposed to the fear vibration, because the body's going to respond to what we put our attention on.
That's what exactly skipped my mind. I needed to keep myself out of the fear, whether it was true or not. And quite clearly, all these people dying, there's got to be some truth for it, as far as I can see. And yet, stay out of the fear doesn't mean that I shouldn't be concerned that if I go out to the grocery store, that it's probably a good idea to wear a mask. That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There is a reality of people catching coronavirus and suffering greatly as they catch it. The point of this program is to make people minimally vulnerable to that. So to minimize their vulnerability, because coronaviruses have been around for a very long time. This is the latest iteration. And what we've found is that this emphasis on coronavirus is triggering past consciousness from within our DNA that makes us more vulnerable. So the program was to recognize this, bring this out from the shadows and into the light, make people aware of the connection between the where we put our focus and what happens within our body, and then use energy transformation to transform those old patterns back into love so that they don't get triggered anymore. Tell us a bit about some of the interesting things that happened to you over those 2 weeks that you were watching the videos.
Oh gosh, should I say the toilet? The funniest thing was, I was kind of keeping a little log day by day as to what things I was just aware of in my everyday life, whether they were directly applicable to this or not. And one of the things was I was cleaning my toilet and I noticed in between the tank and the seat, there's this little flat area. I've lived here for 4 years almost, the end of this month. And the name Murray, M-U-R, it was like, I don't know, it wasn't clearly written, but it's almost like it was ingrained in the same color as the toilet. And I said, oh my gosh, this is so weird. Oh wow, this is so weird that, I'm doing this with Murray, and this shows, I never ever noticed that before. And that like blew my mind. To me, it was like a message from the angels, like, oh, okay. They were confirming this work is very valuable or something. That's all I could think of. That's why I found it hilarious.
Yeah, one of the things that happens is the synchronicity
Yeah.
that happens, isn't it? Where sort of weird things, start noticing things that you haven't noticed before, or things start happening that haven't happened before, but they are like a confirmation of the energy transformation that's going on. And in that situation, what does a toilet take? It takes what we don't need away, right?
Yeah.
So this work was really confirming that.
Yeah, you and everyone contributing is taking away what we don't need. I love that. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. And then there was another interesting thing that kept happening to you, which was electrical.
Yeah. Oh, my phone. Yeah, I have, it's 10 years old. I got it when I first started coaching. I had 5 handsets. I'm down to 3 handsets. They have Panasonic batteries that came with them. I checked them. They're up to full. I put them back in. My phone's on the charger itself, and it's charged up. And then it was usually most often in the evening time. I do recall one time, and I don't think I specifically indicated that, when I was asleep and I heard it from the living room. But it would go beep, beep. I thought, what the heck? I never heard them beep before. And a number of years ago, I had a partner who had brain cancer, and just before all that happened, my table lamps in my home would start flickering occasionally. And so I have learned, as much as I want to be intuitive, and I know I am in some ways, I know that when I stay in a certain awareness, I will see these things. And I now know that they are messages from spirit, from the angels for me, because they know that I believe that and I recognize that now. The other thing also is frequently, although during the time period of the videos, I think there was only one day that I noticed any numbers, like on my microwave or on my bedroom clock or on my cell phone or on my computer when I'm working. That happens to me a lot. 11, 11, 10, 10, 12, 12. But this time, during this particular period we're speaking of, I only saw it on my microwave, and it was once, and it was 444. So I forgot to look up exactly what that means. I forgot all the symbolism behind it. But, Spirit knows how to really get my attention, and I've recognized that. So,
well, thank you, Sharon, very much for sharing your interesting experiences and your perspective. I think it'll be very helpful to anyone who's watching this set of videos.
Well, I appreciate your work, Murray. So thank you for the opportunity. Blessing.
Right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.